Previously on Smart Mobility Today, we covered stories about electric cars, trucks, and tanks. Addressing carbon in the climate, robots making our lives better, and roads in Michigan. This week's stories focus on autonomous boat taxis, electric bikes and scooters, jobs for humans and robots, and energy from the sun and from fossils.
You've got something to say, and we can help you say it. Detroit Media Productions is here for your audio, photography, and video needs. DetroitMediaProductions.com.
Hi, this is Cindy Polakowski. Urban waterways have traditionally been used for trade and shipping, but their use by the millions of travelers who live near them has been very light. All of that could change with the introduction of autonomous urban boats. A story in Fast Company describes how waterways, like the East River in New York or the canals of Amsterdam, will once again be used for transit. An autonomous pod-like water robot called Orb can carry 6 passengers. The vehicle is designed specifically for dense cities and is able to cut through the water on hydrofoils that let it maneuver around larger vessels. The innovation, used like an on-demand car services today, would be easier to launch because it does not depend on the large and expensive infrastructure needed for ferries or large passenger vehicles, but on an easily placed and portable dock. In India, the company Ola has announced that it is suspending work on EVs and is now focused on electric bikes and scooters. 2 years ago, the company founder announced plans to launch an electric sports car that could reach 100 kilometers per hour in 4 seconds. But ahead of the IPO planned for this year, the focus has shifted to the two-wheeler market. The company cites the lack of mass electrification infrastructure as the driver of the change in the direction. While Ola has represented a competitive threat to other EV manufacturers, it is the lack of infrastructure that challenges the EV industry in all of India. In recent years, e-scooters have grown in popularity in the country, with about 500,000 sold so far this year. In the same period, sales of EVs were just 45,000, and that was in the world's third biggest auto market. And more on micromobility. Between 2013 and 2019, about 1,000 units of a hand-built, 3-wheeled EV called Elf were sold until a bankruptcy stopped the development of the world's first electric bike car. E-bikes and scooters are popular for some developers because they do not require the capital needed for most auto industry endeavors. Now, company founder Rob Cotter has bought the company back, renamed it Environmental Transit Authority, and is in the process of raising money to get the operation running again. Elf, designed with 2 front wheels, has a top speed of 28 miles per hour, can use existing bike lanes, and does not require a license or insurance. Plus, unlike other e-bikes, the original Elf was enclosed to create a weather-protected ride, could fit extra passengers in the rear, and charge from either a standard wall outlet or a roof-mounted 120-watt solar panel. Models are expected to cost between $7,500 and $12,000.
Looking for better ways to manage your IT, phone systems, or remote workforce? Improve your organization using technology that works for you. psntechnology.com.
A bill has been introduced in the U.S. Senate intended to improve accessibility for people with disabilities. The legislation would require that federal agencies take steps to ensure that people with disabilities can use the federal government's technology. A review of the current Rehabilitation Act revealed a lack of compliance, particularly within the Department of Veteran Affairs. According to co-sponsor Senator Bob Casey, quote, "We would not ask someone using a wheelchair to walk up the courthouse steps, but we are doing something similar when we ask people with disabilities to use federal websites, apps, kiosks, and other technologies that are not accessible." A recent story in WorkShifter asks what skills are required to participate as an engineer in the future, quote, new industrial revolution. The story points out that an engineering job on the modern manufacturing floor requires capabilities that might be new for some people, like collaborating with people and with robots. The term New Industrial Revolution, according to mechanical and aerospace engineering professor Qing Chang, a recently named Society of Manufacturing Engineers Fellow. The future of work thinking considers the demands of Industry 4.0, which builds on the computing and robotics revolution of the last century. In October, the Global Automobility Crew and I will be discussing the future of engineering careers at Michigan State University. We will share the event on this show, so stay tuned. In a recent social media post, Elon Musk says that Tesla will start producing and using humanoid robots in 2026. The announcement comes as the car maker announces drops in profitability and as Mr. Musk looks for cost-cutting at Tesla. Due to slowing sales, company profits over 3 months fell from $2.7 billion to $1.5 billion. As robots become more common and more human-like, a new learning method promises to improve their performance. According to a piece in Tech Explorer, to date, robotic systems are either good at doing a lot of things without high precision or doing very few things but doing those in a very precise way. Getting them to do a lot and do a lot very well would encourage wider adoption of robots working well as human assistants. New robot learning technology is now being developed with the promise of training robots to address a variety of real-world tasks, enhancing precise pick and place skills, involving locating, picking up, and placing objects precisely in specific locations. We will be right back.
All right, ready. All right, I'm ready. No, that's fine. All right, I'm ready.
More water. I know.
But I can give it a go. Presenting.
Too many.
I did.
Okay,
I
so
put
the door.
a pee in. We'll be right back.
Freelancers, gig workers, and entrepreneurs are creating the future of work. Subscribe to our weekly newsletter at workshifter.com and follow us at Workshifter on social media.
A company called Starcatcher, a Florida-based startup, has raised $12 million to develop the first energy grid in space. Space-based solar power capture has been something in science fiction, but that may change as the company builds and launches a constellation of power-beaming satellites in low Earth orbit. The first are planned to fly as early as next year. According to one of the investors, quote, "We're confident Starcatcher will do for orbital power what SpaceX has done for launch." In Massachusetts, the Port Authority recently considered a proposal to end the free charging that Massport offers at its 66 EV charging ports, most of them at Logan Airport. The proposed change involved charging 25 cents per kilowatt hours plus a connection fee of $2. One proponent said the change would raise $60,000 per year. Not a lot considering the authority's $1 billion in operating revenues, but in line with practices of some other public agencies. While the proposed change is not expensive and might seem reasonable, it was rejected by the council, who thought it would send a bad message. Like airports that offer free EV charging, the concern was about moving away from encouraging and incentivizing EV use. An article in CNET looks at the cost to fuel an EV versus a car powered by gasoline. While many EV owners notice that they are spending more for electricity overall, it is still less than they would have spent on gas. And while politics or other factors may influence the answer people want to hear, CNET set out to look at the real cost difference based on the averages in the U.S. The findings? CNET found the monthly cost of charging an EV to be $66.66 versus $182.50 to fuel an internal combustion engine. Over 1 year, this translates as follows. As an average, across the country, it costs $2,190 to gas up a traditional car versus $799.92 to charge an EV.
Read these stories and more at globalautomobility.com and subscribe to Smart Mobility Today on your favorite podcast platform. Sign up to receive our weekly newsletter and follow us on social media at Smart Mobility Today. Produced by Detroit Media Productions, this is Smart Mobility Today.